What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. Sin is in the building.
Yes, sir.
Jokes is in the building, and you are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about all the things happening in pop culture. And today we got a loaded show. There's a lot happening. First and foremost, Jokes.
Yo.
Yesterday we did a show where we talked about Scott Pilgrim, correct?
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
Did you enjoy the show?
I did.
Did you imagine that there might be people here watching this that maybe didn't tune into that?
There's a possibility.
So I need y'all to go check that out. You know what I'm saying? Movie club once a month. We get together and we, you know what I mean, talk about a movie that we have chosen for the month.
Mm-hmm.
And this coming month, Sin has picked a new movie.
Yes,
Sin, what's the movie for next month?
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005.
Listen, not to be confused with the new show.
No.
What up, Cuddy? What up, Heather? We want to make sure y'all ready. G Rich, man, it was good to see you this weekend.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Super good to see you this weekend. I appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us at KatsuCon. That was pretty dope.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Man, that was, yeah. That's pretty serious. 3 stitches where, Cuddy?
Hey, Zay.
What up, Zay?
Yo.
So yeah, we got a lot brewing. We do have a special guest just jumped in to join us, so we're gonna have him join us in just a second. Before we do that, Jokes, you have a job to do.
I got you.
Appreciate that, G.
Yes.
Thank you, man. The panel went really well. Got a lot of really positive feedback from all the people who attended at Castle. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Meets monkey bars at recess. Did that happen today, Cuddy? That's kind of crazy.
Candace.
What up, Kai? While Jokes is getting the Beacons link up for you all. Sen, you got a job to do.
Yeah, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very, very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
That is an absolute fact. Now, without any further ado, we're going to try to get our esteemed guest in here with us. Hopefully, we'll be able to see and hear him. All right. Troy, what's up, man? Up. I don't.
Oh, no.
We are having.
I muted myself. I'm
all right.
Like, you know what? I do live streams all the damn time, and I still do this. I still mute myself. My bad. I don't know what is my camera acting crazy for you guys?
Yeah.
A little funky.
Yeah, it's glitching. Yeah, it's in the Matrix.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, definitely looks like the Matrix.
Okay, maybe I am in the Matrix. How about that?
Totally possible.
I know Kung Fu.
Totally possible.
Or maybe it's us, and he's just seeing us, and we're in the Matrix right now.
Maybe you guys are in the Matrix. There you go. Right. Right.
I mean, technically, aren't we all?
Mm-hmm.
I know what I mean, in the Matrix in some manner.
Like it's giving Spider-Verse.
Oh no! See, it's all going to hell.
There it is. It's
I'm
all
a true professional.
Don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Jokes. I am throwing a link in the private chat for you right quick.
Gotcha.
You can share it with everybody real quick, so folks can make sure they go in and follow Troy. All right, assuming this joint wants to play nice.
All right.
All right. Troy, man, let's do a little bit of a litmus test.
Oh yeah, let's do this. I saw an episode. I was ready for this. Let's go. Let's go.
I like it.
Let's go. I saw previous episodes. I was like, all right, I know this is coming.
Well, I mean, we got to see how we align with some things.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely.
We're
Well,
not,
actually, if I could just say real quick,
sure.
I knew you were all right with me, Brandon, when you did that Dark Knight episode. That episode about the Christopher Nolan Batman. Because I felt like I've been the lone voice for years because I'm like, that ain't Batman.
No,
Like
no.
Batman Begins is Batman. I will give you that. But Dark Knight Rises, I don't know who that guy is.
Listen, let me tell you something. We don't even need to do a litmus test no more.
He's like, he good, Nick.
We good.
He passed the vibe.
I mean, everybody
him with flying colors.
Yeah, the vibe check is over. You know what I mean? Right now.
Okay. All right.
You know what I'm saying? It really is.
Yeah.
I do want to know. Listen, look. Cuddy said, haven't done litmus test in a minute. Love him. Hey, look. Here's the thing.
We can still do it.
We can. I feel like though, because I'm trying to place you in an age group where we kind of fall. Like a lot of times we end up making fun of jokes because he likes things we don't like because he's younger than us.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So I try not to make sure, I try to make sure it's not. But listen, we'll do it real quick. We're gonna jump in a couple of things. Let's just start. Justice League or X-Men?
Oh, did you see my feed recently? Is this why you're doing this to me?
Yeah, I'm just. What do you mean?
Okay. So no, it's funny because I work for Diamond Comic Distributors, and I also am the consumer marketing manager for Previews Catalog / Previews World, right? And so I was talking to my friend last week, and we got into a conversation about, probably because of X-Men '97, we got into a conversation about how the Justice League. That's not an easy fight if they take on X-Men Blue and Gold specifically. X-Men Blue and Gold specifically. And I posted on Previews World, which is it's a very old school audience, right? So they know what they're talking about, right? They've been reading comics for years. And admittedly, I was trolling, right?
Of course.
But at the same time, I have to be honest. I'm a Marvel guy, right? More of a Marvel guy than a DC guy. I love DC, but I'm more of a Marvel guy.
Okay.
And sure enough, I'm prefacing too much, but sure enough, my attitude is this. If I have to be honest, the X-Men do stand a chance against the Justice League.
Sure.
And I saw a couple comments that were interesting. Number one being, Green Lantern can do this, blah, 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 et cetera, right? And I was like, well, what are the X-Men's team colors? It's blue and yellow. It's blue and yellow. Blue and yellow. So that's all. That's
neutralized.
Right. I'm just saying it's the blue and gold team. Additionally, everybody likes to throw out Superman, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody likes to throw out Batman and say, what if he got prep time? My friends. Right. Okay, good. My friend's argument. You don't do that?
Nah.
My friend's argument was that, how can Batman prep when the weather changes every 5 seconds?
I mean,
Okay.
I
Now,
think. Listen, let me just say that, I always have to do this. I am a Batman fan.
I am too. Yes.
But I am also a hater. And by nature. And the prep time thing would be but Batman will be prepared because he knows he's fighting a weather witch, and therefore he will make sure that his suit has something prepared for every version of weather that there could possibly be. Because they just plot armor that guy. Plot armor is actually built into the bat suit. It's a little ridiculous.
That's a belt buckle. That's one of the slots.
Armor.
Bro,
the utility belt.
Come on,
the utility belt is legit plot armor.
It is. So here's the thing. It's not really about who would win the fight. It's just about who do you like better. That's all I need to know.
Of course.
Who do you like better? If it's an X-Men thing, then it's X-Men, and I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? Now, Transformers or GoBots?
Transformers. Although I'm not a fan of either. I got to be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of either. As far as Hasbro properties go, I'm more of a G.I. Joe guy.
I mean, That's fair. G.I. Joe, I don't feel like has an equivalent. They don't have like a comic or like a TV show equivalent. I don't feel like.
If I could try to pass the litmus test again, I will say this. You know the story of G.I. Joe and how it ended up in Marvel Comics.
No, well, maybe I may have heard it.
It was supposed to be a Nick Fury Shield book.
Oh,
it was supposed that was the original intent. And Hydra became Cobra. Look at that, right? Think about that for a second, right? Shield became G.I. Joe, right? And so previous to that, G.I. Joe was like the giant, the
tall 12-inch, yeah,
right. So when they started doing comics and Marvels, that's when they flipped over to the action figures. So yeah, and the cartoon kind of also coincides with that, of course. But just like a lot of people credit Larry Hama for building out their franchise for a reason. It wasn't coming from Hasbro; it was coming from Marvel. So
you're right. That's a real thing. Listen, because we eat a lot of snacks here, I gotta know what's your favorite condiment.
Favorite condiment? You know what? Right now, I'm gonna say Oreo lemon cookies. Right now.
Oh, you just straight full on snacks. Like you're not even
right.
Like
No condiments whatsoever.
You telling me you're crumbling?
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry.
I'm like, yo, that's.
Soon as he said Oreo, they said what?
I put Oreos on everything I eat.
Right. What type of condiment is Oreo
I'm
based?
sorry.
No, ketchup? Nah, Oreo on my hot dog.
Just Oreo crumbs, just sprinkle them.
I'm gonna stitch on myself. I had a little bit of this earlier, so I'm probably thinking snacks more than anything. Anyway, condiments. Sorry, condiments. Man, I'm a little bit pinky out, I guess. I like the Dijon mustard.
Okay. All right.
And I am a big fan of buffalo sauce.
Okay. I mean,
buffalo sauce is not a big fan of me, but I'm a big fan of buffalo sauce.
I know what that means.
Yes.
I know exactly what that means. You didn't say mayo, you passed the test.
No.
Any answer other than mayo, pass the test.
Although I'm a Wendy's guy, I do love me some Wendy's, and they put mayonnaise on their burger. So
I'm not mad at that.
They
Wendy's,
do,
Burger
but
King, same.
I always tell them take it off.
Yep.
They better
take it off. Okay.
Yeah. I just get the keychain. I get the keychain every year with the for the little frosty. I'm fries and frosties. That's how we get down.
Okay. All right.
I did see they doing a creamsicle frosty.
Yep.
Starting in March. Oh. That's all you jokes. I'm
all for it.
That's disgusting. You can have it.
Son. I'll give it a shot.
All for it.
I know you will. I'm not doing it. I threw up enough on this show. So
thanks to our lovely folks in here.
I can't do it anymore. Troy, I'm glad we got to get a little bit of background from you.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Part of the reason why you're here, though, is also to talk about the magazine that you're helming and
absolutely.
Afrofutures.
Yes.
So I definitely want to make sure we talk about that some. Give me a second. I'm gonna pop this up on screen. But while I'm getting that ready, why don't you just kind of give us a little bit of the background of what Afrofutures is, and like where the idea for it came from.
I mean, the soft version of it is, right? Like if I had to give you the elevator pitch, if you took Adult Swim, Liquid Television, right? Am I aging myself when I say Liquid Television?
You are for me. Jokes, do you know what that is?
I'm familiar with Liquid TV. Obviously, that's way before my time. That's way before my time.
Like,
so Liquid TV,
dog boy?
Right? Dog boy, right?
Yeah.
Liquid TV was Adult Swim before Adult Swim. That's like the simplest way I can put it.
It
was. Heavy Metal Magazine, for those of you who are also into metal and rock. 2000 AD and Love, Death, and Robots, but for a Black audience. That's the idea. So, everyone's talking about Afrofuturism and Black speculative fiction right now. I kind of felt like the concept behind Afrofuturism is perfect for a sort of, for lack of a better term, anthology magazine. So what you're going to be is like a bunch of cool short stories. You're going to also be getting a lot of some articles that also support those short stories, also support the particular theme of that issue. And the whole purpose of this really is to control the narrative, control our narrative, truthfully.
Yeah.
And this is a collection of comics. It's commentary. It's music. There's some there's philosophy in there, tech, and this is aimed at a smart adult consumer audience who want visionary black art. That is the thing here. So and also I'm a big fan of just kicking shit over. So this is going to be a wild book. It's for adults. It's not for kids.
I dig that.
Yeah, so we're trying to give the big kids something to look at, and that's the goal.
What how long you been kicking this around?
Man, that's an excellent question. I don't know when Afrofutures exactly pops into my head. Two of the stories in the book that I'm writing, I've had since like 2012. I want to say.
Okay.
One of the stories, actually, since we're flipping through it, I'll explain. One of the stories is a satirical political comic called All Negro Squad. And that is something that I have been thinking about for years. It's basically a zombie comic with superheroes, and the zombies are politicians.
Which is
interesting.
This.
Yes, there you go. That's artwork by Nelson Blake. Nelson has done a phenomenal job. And yes, we're not doing the Marvel thing. He is the interior artist. So, like that's something I don't like. Like one of the things I don't like, I get to see a lot of stuff coming in out of my day job. And the okey doke that some of these publishers pull with the cover art is disheartening sometimes. Nelson Blake is the artist on this. It takes place during Obama's second inauguration. And one of the characters is Obama's private security for Michelle and the kids.
Okay.
And white supremacists show up. And that's all I'll tell you. It's a white militia and things go nuts. And that's what I mean when I say an adult comic, a wild comic, and I'm here to kick shit over. So there you go.
I dig that.
I dig it.
Okay.
I dig that. We'll go back a little bit. Talk to me about what this is here.
So that is a piece of work by an artist named Bliss Studios. He's been making the rounds on Instagram a lot lately. So you probably have seen his version of this on other mouths at some point in time.
Yeah.
And I just loved it so much that I was like, yo, can you just put the name of the book? This is before I even had the official logo. But I was like, can you just put the name of the book on like someone's ice, please?
Yeah.
And he did it, and then he made the mistake of telling me he wants to do a comic. So guess who's in the comic as well? He's also in the magazine.
I dig it.
And actually, if I could, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to give away too much, but we have a cool story that Bliss Studios is working on, which is basically it's an homage to Jay Dilla. So
dope.
Okay.
Yeah, keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know that you've done, some work in that realm, MF Doom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how is we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to the images for a second, but like, talk to me about your musical influences and how they cross over with your creative space in terms of comics and so forth and writing.
So you guys are familiar with John Woo, right? All right. John Woo, he did Face Off, Broken Arrow. Actually, don't mind Broken Arrow so much. But Face Off.
We're real John Woos. We're like John Woo's The Killer.
Yeah,
we're
Better
like
Tomorrow, all that stuff.
We're
Better
like
Tomorrow,
John Woo. Yeah.
Like mentally, I was kicking myself for saying
pre-Hollywood.
I was kicking myself for mentioning all the American movies first, right?
Right.
So I had to forgive myself in that moment. But of course, one of John Woo's things, I'm also a film nerd, clearly, right? I went to school for film. One of John Woo's things was that, like, he likes to pace the story to music, right? And it helps him build out the narrative, build out the operatic nature of it. And I've always taken that to heart, And so music is a huge inspiration for story for me. Usually I always have the concept in mind first, but when I listen to a lot of movie scores. So usually I have the concept in mind first, but when it comes down to laying the tracks down, right? like
Yeah.
finding the narrative beats of the story. That's where the music comes in. So
Mm.
in terms of my own personal history in music, you know, I like I you know, I did, of course, do the MF Doom tribute comic, which is free to everybody to read on Rexco Comics on our
Right.
website. Um, because of that, I got to do a short story with Chuck D of Public Enemy for a book called Apocalypse 91 Revolution Never Sleeps.
Right.
And that went well. And then I think I would assume because of that, I am currently working on ODB Lyrical Ruckus in the City, which is actually a book about Old Dirty Bastard. I got to do a
Yeah.
horror story. I have not gotten to do a horror story yet. I was excited to lean into something Evil Dead like, and I think I
Yeah.
was successful. So, and I've
That's
got some
cool.
got, there's some great art in there by Manhouse as well. So definitely keeping a lookout for that. I think that's coming in November, if I
Okay.
remember correctly. Yeah.
Now having those, how is there some of that same musical influence in Afrofutures? Like, is that
Oh
something
yes.
that we can
Yeah.
expect throughout that? Well, talk to me about how that lines up with Afrofutures.
Well, so Afrofutures is a concept album, but it's in magazine form. That's the gist of it.
Right.
And our master of ceremony is this artificially intelligent robot named 808. And
Hmm.
so that was actually the image you had up a second ago. And so
Right. Here we
she's
go.
kind of, she's like our narrative tool through
Hmm.
all the stories. Like she is the Ark of the Covenant, right? She is the
Right.
MacGuffin, like you know
She's
what
the
I mean?
Watcher.
She's the Watcher, exactly.
Yeah.
And so actually the Watcher is probably a really great example of that. And so like, you will see her pop up here and there throughout the book, but she has her own arc that will play out from issue to issue. But she
Hmm.
really is the DJ of this book. She's looking back at us
Yeah.
from the future. She incorporates music to every article and comic within. And, she's just letting the narrative be built. So,
Mhm.
you know, this really is like an art collective. So I'm treating this like an artistic jam session. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's a huge part of this for sure.
I mean, I think that was the thing that stood out to me the most
Hmm.
when you talked to me about this at TCon last
Hmm.
year,
Hmm.
was the concept
That's
of
right. That was last year.
808.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what 808 means to it. Um, but I also think that just in terms of like doing something that's different, right? In terms of kind of putting something together that um isn't just that is in fact a magazine, right? That is
Hmm.
something that's different from what we're getting. We're still getting
Yeah.
comics in it,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
But we're getting other pieces. So this is going to have articles, right? It's not
Yes.
just
Hmm.
going to be. So in terms of that, what kind of articles can we expect to see in Afrofutures?
Oh man, I got a big announcement that I'm gonna have to sit on,
Oh,
but
yikes. Okay.
yeah, like
Okay.
we got we're currently trying to get a major hip hop influence to participate in this, and that's well, I don't want to say
Yeah,
anything before in case it doesn't
Okay, cool.
happen, but that's the goal.
absolutely.
But that
How
said,
about how about how about we talk? How about we talk after?
okay,
How about we
yeah,
talk
well,
after?
I'll tell
And
y'all afterwards for
here's the thing.
sure.
I'm not even like I'm not even saying it in terms of like
Hmm.
I just want to know, but like
Hmm.
I'm saying it in terms of like I know some people. So
Okay,
like
okay,
so we can
yeah.
so we can talk kind of offline about that.
I mean, look, I'll
We
tell
can
you, man. Like speaking of just talking about musicians, like we've got a lot of like talent that's like kind of doing double duty in a lot of ways. I've got right now two metal guitarists doing artwork, right?
hmm,
Oh snap!
Um, I've got a DJ who's going to be basically the soundtrack for this entire project. DJ
Mm.
Candy Crush, you probably met at TCon, or you
I
probably
know DJ. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And another DJ who's also working on this. We definitely have a music journalist who's doing the one of the articles for us,
Okay.
and also a jazz singer doing the story
Oh,
in here too. Yeah,
Mm,
okay,
like
nice.
so we've got
A little bit of everything in there.
music is embedded into this. You know what I mean?
right.
Mm.
So that said, um, I'm sorry, I totally lost track of what what the question was. What was the question?
Well, I was just asking about like how like what kind of articles we can expect in the
Yeah. So with the all Negro squad, right?
mhm,
Okay, so you see Josephine Baker. That's where the jazz singer
Mhm.
factors in, right?
okay.
But with All Negro Squad, that comic is partially inspired by All Negro Comics #1, which is a comic that came out
Mm,
over a little over 75 years ago. It is probably the first example of an independent black comic book.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
In All Negro Comics #1, it never got a #2. But in All Negro Comic #1, one of the things you experience is a character named Ace Harlem, who's this master detective. And
Mm,
so I thought it would be really cool in All Negro Squad to catch up with Ace Harlem several decades later, right?
Okay.
Like,
I dig that.
what is, because a big part of the All Negro Squad concept is, okay, well, white people get to mythologize their characters all the time. Like, they get to go in and out in the public conscience, right? We have this revolving door of, like, Batman, Dick Tracy, like, the Shadow, etc. They always come back around in some way, shape, or form, right? And
Sure.
so my thing is like, okay, well, let's do that with Ace Harlem. What kind of crazy shit has he been getting into for the last 75 years? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's
Like,
dope. Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, expect him to be the master detective in our universe, right? Like, to be the
Mm,
go-to guy. And so because of that, I mentioned all that. For those people who are not familiar with All Negro Comics #1, we have an article by Christopher Marlin that kind of explains the history and the importance of All Negro Comics #1. And so that's one article in
okay.
particular. Um, Additionally, we will have a section called, or it's like an article called State of the Art, which is basically showing people how the stories are being made, right? Like the
Okay.
thought process behind them. Because I'm a huge, huge, huge proponent of the process, right?
Hmm.
And so, like, yeah, getting people to show that. And then there's this other article that I can't quite tell you about, which is kind of the featured article, but
Okay.
it is about music and it's about artificial intelligence. Let me put it there. I'll just say that much.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm with it 100%. I want to again, I'm look, this is I think it's dope, right? I don't think it's just dope in concept and that it's something different, but
Hmm.
again, it is a stamp in time at controlling the narrative, at being
Yes.
in the place that decides what stories get told,
Hmm.
where those stories head, and having that creative license to do it in a way that allows us to have it and keep it, right?
Yes.
um
Absolutely.
which I think is dope. What should the expected cadence be like for how often we see Afrofutures, right?
So, mhm.
Go ahead.
uh, no, no, yeah, like, so right now, it was important that this book be independently made, right?
Hmm.
Because, and at least from the first issue, so that we can set the tone of what this is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So because of that, currently it's an annual, but if it does well on Kickstarter, that could change. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the end's got to
Um,
justify the means.
listen,
Understood.
and that I mean
Absolutely.
that's how things work, right? I mean
Yeah,
that's there is a business end to the artistic work, right? That's just
yes,
kind of
that's
the
just it. Yeah.
reality of what it is. But
Mhm,
we want to see this do well.
mhm.
Everybody who's watching, Jokes did put
Hmm.
a link that goes directly to Troy's Instagram. However,
Mhm.
I also am Jokes. I have another link
Cool.
I'm gonna shoot to you real quick to Troy's link tree,
Mhm. Mhm.
because from the link tree you can get to everything else.
Yes. Mhm.
Information about the ODB thing there, like all of that stuff is there. So I'm highly recommending that everybody who's hanging out with us in chat tonight, watching the show or watching later on, if you're not watching us live, um, you know, go to Troy's Instagram and the link tree is there as well. Jump in the link tree so that you can find everything else. So we can go in and support not just the coming project, but the projects that are already in existence and the work that is happening. Um,
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
of course, of course, of course. So Andrew was saying, so are the characters in public domain that you're using from years ago?
Yeah, actually, so that is the other brilliant thing about it. I don't know if you can throw out the All Negro Squad again, but I can
Here I
almost
got.
point to each thing here, because here's the deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the answer is yes. Public domain characters. That is a big factor here, because the deal is that we have Ace Harlem, public domain character, right? You see the guy in the middle kind of punching that other politician in the face. That's John
Mm-hmm.
Henry. Like that's John Henry. John
Okay.
Right, like
Okay.
the John.
Yeah.
That's not John Henry Irons. That's not
Mm-hmm.
Steel. That is John Henry. John Henry.
John Henry.
And in our
Yeah.
story, he's the immortal John Henry. Right?
Oh,
Okay, I like it.
Yeah. So Thor better watch out. There's a new hammer in town, right?
I dig it.
There you go. The girl with the afro in the upper left corner is Savannah. She is actually the great daughter. The eldest daughter, the youngest daughter. I'm sorry, of Lion Man, who also appears in All Negro Comics #1.
Okay,
All right.
that's dope. Okay,
And Streetwise Hercules is a new character. If I had to describe him, yeah, Streetwise Hercules. If I had to describe him, but we call him Herc for short.
Okay.
He is definitely a cross between everything from Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon and probably like Run DMC, every 80s hip hop thing ever. Like
All right.
basically, like that's it. And so his powers are actually music based or sound based. So that's also something we're having a lot of fun with.
I dig that.
Mm-hmm.
I dig that.
Yeah,
All right. Listen, man. Again, I think it's dope. You know, it was a little loud and kind of crazy when we talked at TCon last year, right? So like, it's good to kind of have a chance to talk about it in a space like this where we can share it with other people and kind of see what it is. What is the Kickstarter plan? What are we looking at right now?
The plan for a Kickstarter right now, we are actively in the process of making the comics, right?
Okay.
And so the plan for Kickstarter is June. My goal is that we're going to drop it in June, and then when Juneteenth runs around, that's a second opportunity for you to partake in this Kickstarter. And yeah, there's a reason that we're announcing it in February because, of course, it's Black History Month.
Right.
But also we're focused on Afrofutures and the Black Beyond, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys, if you want to just sign up to my newsletter, I have a production blog that's going to be on the Rexico website that will be doing updates, but also I'm going to be doing reveals of all these things on Rexico's social media and my social media at the same time. So when it comes time for this Kickstarter, you will definitely know. But I'm shooting for June.
Dig it. Listen, man, just keep us in the loop. Let us know when things are happening so we can, share with our audience and so forth.
Yeah.
So we can try to make sure that we do our part to help get that where it needs to go.
Mhm.
You're gonna hang out with us for the rest of the show and talk some stuff with us. I mean, you don't have to.
Awesome.
Your matrix is glitching. I don't want, you know what I mean? Like, I want.
Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna switch over to my tablet because apparently this Logitech camera ain't doing it. But yeah, I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to talk shop. This is actually one of the things I love about my job is just talking geek shit. So yeah, just give me a second. I'll switch over.
That's cool.
Okay.
Do that.
All right.
While you're doing that, all you have to do is close your browser and then open up. The link should be good if you swap over to your.
Gotcha.
All right. So while that's happening, here's what we're gonna do. This week, the characters that we're talking about for Black History Month are specifically characters from TV and film. Sin, you already have a smile on your face. And that's what's up, man. You said, I will definitely back this comic. I love it. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Sin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a smile on your face as I was saying that. You seem excited about this.
No, it was the comment came in, so I was comment. I was just happy.
That was what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Right. I dig that. I respect that. We're gonna do a rundown. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go through a couple of mine.
Okay.
First, right? So I want to before I do
funny.
I know, really. It's like,
yeah.
Is there like a butt or something? I don't know what it is.
I'm waiting for it.
It's just that like this is probably the first. Listen.
Okay.
I want the knife.
Taylor Jarrell, bro, from The Golden Child. And here's the thing. My initial thought was,
I know.
Axel Foley, right? And then I thought, nah, we quote the Golden Child all the time.
Please.
My dear brother Noopsy, all the time, bro.
Yeah, facts.
Like, it is just like the Golden Child is a classic. It's a classic, right? And I feel I would really, I mean, honestly, it's almost he's almost Axel Foley in this movie, right?
Dear brother Noopsy.
You already know, Cuddy, because we do it all the time, right?
Facts.
Like, but again, come on. I want nice. Please, like it's so classic. I would really have liked to have seen some version of sequels, right? Not like necessarily a Golden Child 2, but just something that continued that character. Okay, there's a floor. Hey, dog, like the joint is classic, bro. It's classic. Now.
Did I do that?
Exactly.
My man Irk. Okay.
Let me tell you about breaking the straight up mold, right? Because welcome back.
There you go.
Oh yeah, Chris.
He's out the Matrix now.
Chris
Yeah, Chris with it.
You know what I mean?
Good.
Yep.
Yeah. So listen, Steve Urkel, right?
Oh man.
Challenged
Okay.
everything that we knew about. Like, we weren't even allowed to be nerds like this. Like, Steve Urkel broke all of that, right? And then, I mean, like, we're not gonna really talk about Stefan because that's a whole other like side thing. But got any cheese? Straight up, Andrew. Like, it just this Steve Urkel was Friday night. Like it just was like there was no getting away from it. He's an absolute icon. Like, it just he took over a time period and ran with it, and like everybody on Monday was talking about what Steve Urkel did Friday night, you know, when they watched the show. And that was like a truly big deal for a black character to be glasses, suspenders, high waters, cuffs rolled all the way up with the sweater. It was a big deal for a black character to be not just to be smart, like to be extremely knowledgeable on screen, even though it was a stereotype of a nerd. We just didn't get that very often, where there was a character that was, for all intents and purposes, brilliant, but was also brown. Like he said, my man worked snapping a towel in the locker room like he was Bruce Lee. Facts. Just kind of broke the mold. So now, and I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised, Jokes. Maybe it's not really for you because you technically are a wrestling guy. But let me tell you something about the JYD.
JYD?
Let me tell you something about the JYD, bro.
Hey, my man,
like
y'all the PNG joke.
I know. That's what's so funny about it.
The PNG. That joke just smacking him.
Can I tell you something about, like, look, Junkyard Dog is probably the first black wrestler I ever saw, right? And I'm gonna also tell you this. At the time growing up, he was the only black man I seen whoop white people on a regular basis. Doing things nobody can do. There was really nobody else around that looked like him, that was him, that like took on the personification of being the dog and barked. And like, it wasn't really until I got older and knew like what a Q Dog was, and I was like, oh, he's really owning this. You know what I mean? Like, when you go back and you think about Junkyard Dog and what he was doing in that space, I think there are a lot of people who would have looked at it, or if they weren't knowledgeable about kind of what that era is. Like, I could not hear the song Atomic Dog without thinking about Junkyard Dog. Like, it was
Junkyard Dog, right?
It was synonymous for me. And so
Mm-hmm.
historically, like one of the best and first to ever do it, and not like in the greatest. Let's do this again. Hold on, take a look, Prep. Like my man's not.
Hey, bro, the
He's
tights,
not
bro.
cut.
Hey, listen, my man just had. I just need some gear. I just need to be able to get in there. I don't care what it is. Just get it to me.
If
Well, I
you
mean, the concept
remove-
here is like,
yeah, if you take the chain off, I'm laughing at that dude, dog. Like he's not,
Facts.
you know, having a gimmick, selling it. I can't even imagine what it must have really been like to be in the WWF or the WWE that early on
Mhm.
and really be the only person carrying it. You know what I mean? Of that skin tone. So like it just was it was a big deal for me. Sin, you have some of your favorite black characters from TV and film, so we're gonna take a look. Fill me in, bro.
My girl Athena Grant
I
from
mean, come
911. Love 911. She is one of my favorite characters in the show. She is exactly what you expect Angela Bassett to be if she was a cop. I guess that feels like she's a mother, like she's a badass, like she follows the rules, but she'll push them if she feels like no, you're not doing the right thing here. I got this. Like the way she just handles everything, she runs it like good, bad, whatever. Like she's just an overall phenomenal character, and I've been in love with her character like since the beginning of watching this show and just seeing like the story development, where it's going. Like she's a strong reason to tune into the show, I would say. Yeah.
She got a huge payday off of that too.
I believe
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Victor freaking Strand from Fear of the Walking Dead. Great character. Phenomenal actor the way he plays this role. But this is like he's the definition of you love and hate this character at the same time. He will do something to have you cheering behind him 1 second, and then the next thing he do something to screw everybody over. It's all about Strand at the end of the day. What do I have to do to get out of this situation and survive? And you deal with that like the whole time throughout the series. But he's such a great character to follow and watch and just see how he maneuvers through all these situations. And somehow get you to come back on his side at the very end. Like it's interesting watching that character, I will say. Very interesting. Started from the beginning, season 1, all the way to the end. So salute to him.
If they make him Kang,
he would body it.
He would body it.
He would body it.
Yeah.
If they make him Kang, he'll body it.
I like that more than John David Washington, actually.
I mean, I do too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cuddy says Angela and he both produced their shows, both brilliant. Facts. I mean, look.
I mean, we just finished this, bro. Like
John Smith,
man. Like, I love his interpretation of John Smith, in this television adaptation of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It's fresh. I love the conversations they're having in it. Like, I wasn't sure going into it. Like, Donald Glover is Mr. Smith. I'm not sure.
That's where we're going with this.
But seeing how they were handling it and like the directions they were going with it and taking it, by the end of the first episode, I was like, okay, I see what we're doing here. I'm here for this ride. Like, and the more it just goes on and the more it goes on, it just gets better and better. Like
he's super vulnerable.
No spoilers. Yes. No spoilers. I'm only on episode 4.
Okay. But no, yeah,
super vulnerable.
The show for that.
I was about to say, is this a spoiler, boys?
We are doing a spoiler.
It's coming.
Okay.
No, I finished it I finished like a day or two ago. Finally got to the finale. Liked it a lot. You know what I mean? Like, but we'll talk about that when the time comes. But no, yeah, solid. Solid with John Smith. Shout out Donald Glover. Oh, Michonne.
Yeah, buddy.
It's Michonne. Like,
well, yeah.
I love Michonne in The Walking Dead. Yeah, like just her story arc and everything throughout The Walking Dead is just crazy. Starting off lone swordsman, getting in, having to trust everybody, learn how to get back to trusting people, end up falling in love with Rick. They have their whole thing. Rick leaves the show. Now she's running things out there with the council. It's just trying to take care of the kids and everything. Like, her character development is incredible. So I am super, super psyched for Sunday when we finally get what I have been waiting for forever.
I'm jumping back in.
For them two to reunite. For them two to reunite. I've been waiting for this. So I am super hyped to see how they're going to close everything out. especially with the way things are going. It doesn't look like everybody's going to live. Everybody's probably going to die. Like, it's all over. So,
Planets
but
gonna
no,
explode.
but absolutely love her character and her character arc. Love
Jokes.
Yo,
her.
hey, so my boy Kevin Atwater, Chicago PD, one of the few characters still from the very beginning that's still in the show. But this dude is, we see him develop from, just being a normal patrol cop, moving up to intelligence, working with Voight and his crew. This dude, outside of being tested on the normal things of just being a police officer, but of course he's been tested as being a black police officer, and there has been numerous instances where he had to walk that line where it's like, well, you're one of us, like, you're a cop, you're supposed to be doing this, but at the same time it was like, I'm a black man, doesn't matter like that, I'm a cop, I'm gonna go through these values that I believe are the best thing for me. And that's not to mention, of course,
before I became a cop.
So for him, he has his brother and his sister that he looks after. It got to the point, it kind of got real bad in Chicago where he had to let them kind of go off and live with their aunt for a period of time. But he's straight up a family man. He'll make sure that he protects his own before anything. But to see how this dude got tested, like from all the way from the season, from the early season on to where he is now, another one of those that they gave solid character development to.
Dig it. I mean,
you knew the Zach man was going to end up in my list.
Is that what you call him? Is that your personal
they called it at one point? They called him the Zach man, like during the whole entire thing.
I don't believe that's a thing. They never called him the Zach man.
Who did that? Who called him?
I don't remember who did. I think he referred. No, he did that to himself. He referred to it as himself.
Now
I'm more than certain.
I could probably see.
But for me, of course, growing up, this was, I can say, one of those first times for me seeing someone
1,000% fan. Thank you,
absolutely,
man. Appreciate it.
Seeing someone on screen that looked like me in the capacity of being like a superhero at the time for it. Sure. Obviously, Power Rangers, there was a little thing, the Black Rangers, the black guy, and all that. Whatever, we won't talk about that right now. But
hey, Kai says I'm loving the diversity of these lists. We got the range, definitely.
But just seeing, how they tried to, they wanted to keep elements of being a black guy. So my man ended up creating hip hop keto. There was, and listen,
bro, listen. I'm just let me be the one. I'm just gonna tell you that, like watching that the first go round, I remember being like, is this racist? Like, I just was like,
yes, it was very racist.
Black Ranger, who kicked him out, yo?
Oh wow!
I didn't touch no.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think we found. I think we found the breaking point.
Hey, go listen. They were like, you know what? You're not gonna talk bad about my hip hop keto.
That's wild. That's hilarious.
Hip hop keto. No, we're not doing that on this show.
Get out,
man.
Oh, thank you, Wayne Tech.
Oh God.
All right, let's get that. All right, so so your man made hip hop keto. I'm gonna stop making fun of him. All right, go for it.
Go ahead.
Man's got to eat.
Yeah. That was your jam, huh, Joe?
I'm good. That was my thing from growing up.
All right, cool.
But the last one, of course, which is absolutely probably my favorite of the three, has got to go to Uncle Phil. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is one of my all-time favorite shows. And Uncle Phil, of course, father figure, lawyer, like this dude was doing things that you probably wouldn't necessarily see a black man being in those type of positions. So being the lawyer, being out there, trying to defend and to do things the right way. But for me, it was just really, it was the family side for him. So obviously taking in Will, to try to shape him up to become a better man, from where he started at. This man taught so many lessons throughout the whole entire series. And I mean, some of them obviously subtle, but then some of them more straightforward to the point that was out there for it. And when it came time for defending his family, doing anything, he would not let anybody, I'll use the word, besmirch his family out there for it.
You looked that up just so you can say
no,
that.
No, I didn't.
Episode.
That's a William Regal thing. Whatever. That's the rest of the thing.
Yeah,
but
that's a William Regal thing.
Yeah, that's a William Regal thing.
There it is.
But like this dude was one of the I can say best, the positive father figures or just figures that you would see on TV during that point in time. And you know, I felt as having like a parent yell at me at certain points in time. So when he would get on Will Carlton or any of the kids, it's like, damn, that did feel like something like my mom or my dad would come after me for doing something wrong or whatever. I was like, maybe I shouldn't do such and such. You know,
you was scared Uncle Phil was gonna come get you.
Like I feel like he's the one. You know how like what was it? Like Everybody Hates Chris. Like he had the picture in his wallet. Like I feel like they all had like Uncle Phil like just in their mind at all times. Like, hey, listen, maybe I don't think Uncle Phil will want us to do this. Like,
yeah.
But overall, probably one of the best Black figures I think that has ever been on a TV.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was a follow-up. You know, you're a generation behind us. He was a follow-up for what the Cosbys were. You know what I mean? Like Cuddy just said, that Cosby Show doctor lawyer combination was a thing that we just didn't get to see. You know, Black, you know what I mean? Black people be on TV, especially not like primetime TV. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, it was a great continuation of what we had seen coming up from that. So look, that was pretty dope. I liked everybody's choices. Thank everybody for kind of chiming in with some of their picks in the chat. Now it's time to take a pivot. And so we have to watch it.
Watch the series finale of X-Men next Saturday morning. Check your local listings.
I'm grateful to have the chance to say goodbye. I am proud of you all, my X-Men.
Fate lies in our hands now. Now.
No, did you see this?
I did. Oh no, I saw it. I shared that on the moment it came out.
We have to stay vigilant. The professor entrusted us with his dream.
No matter how dark it is, we must believe in each other.
We get this done by working together as a team.
Jeez, bub. Keep buzzing in my ear.
Heads up!
Moment right there.
And listen, that's straight up.
Right there.
That's like a Marvel Ultimate Alliance jump right there.
Yeah, that's the first I thought about. Let's go. Let's go. We're about to get exploded and slashed at the same time. Let's go.
Magneto.
The last will and testament of Charles Xavier. Everything he built now belongs to me.
Bruh.
All right, so look. A couple of things before we facts, Cuddy. Because Rogue is built a little different. Hey, look, a couple of things. One, shout out to Jerry Gaylord, our good friend of the show. He's on here all the time with us. Storyboard artist on this show. Jerry actually will be joining us for our panel at AwesomeCon in a couple of weeks. So we'll have him hanging out with us. I am going to see if I can get him on this show with us before he's here with us live at AwesomeCon. Again, just to kind of talk about whatever he's allowed to talk about.
Right.
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 Y'all know how that goes. We'll be at AwesomeCon before this show goes live, right? And will be available for everyone to see. But it's always a good time to have him on. So just like I saw him posting about just kind of how excited he was and how proud he was to see his work finally coming to fruition, because they worked on this quite some time ago. I think this was like a pandemic
kind of thing, if I remember right. Yeah.
So, animation takes a long time to see it get done and come from overseas and all that kind of stuff. Now, as a fan of the original X-Men show from the 90s, and specifically as a fan of these X-Men in particular, there are a couple things I want to know. The first thing I want to present to the group, he said, awesome, we love Jerry, didn't always him. Yeah. He told us that he was involved in it, I think that maybe 2 times ago when he was on the show with us, but of course he couldn't tell us anything about it. Here's what I want to know. Is X-Men 97 MCU canon?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Sin says yes. Jokes?
Because of a theory that I had already said, yes. No, because I had already said a theory like from before, so I'm gonna say yes. I mean, multiverse anyway, so yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, honestly,
All right.
That's
if they have Lego Spider-Man versus, like, come on.
And look, if it's not canon when the show airs by the end of the run, at least of the season, and then we get to one of those other things, they can easily just have something pop through. 100%. Hey, it's canon now.
100%. And all I can tell you is that I hope somehow they make it so that the live action Rogue gets the power she's supposed to have, bro.
Like, yeah.
Justice for Rogue. Hashtag it. Let's go.
You know, you gave me something to reconsider, because I remember watching that trailer. I did not expect that trailer to be that hype. Right.
Okay.
And on top of that, I got to the end of the trailer and I was like, damn, man, the live action movie is not going to be that exciting. Like I had that moment where I was like, I don't care what trailer they ever drop. I don't think I'll be that excited for anything X-Men in the live action versus this animated film. But you bring up a very good point that I didn't even consider, man, which is like the multiverse. This could be canon. I mean, that's kind of the cheat code that Kevin Feige has right now, right?
Yep.
Beautiful thing. Yeah.
It's like, hey, you like it? Did you like it? Fun coupons.
Awesome.
Here's the multiverse.
Exactly. If I had to wager, I would say that this definitely becomes canon, right? That like, even if they're just like, and I think it's probably gonna happen during the Deadpool movie, right? Like, all of what Deadpool is doing, bringing the X-Men in, fighting in front of like the broken 20th Century Fox sign kind of thing, right? And it looks like we're gonna see different versions of Wolverine, different versions of Deadpool, and there's a part of me that feels like we're gonna get cameos of other characters that aren't necessarily X-Men in this show, right? I think we could see some Avengers pop up. I think we could see something Fantastic Four related. I think that there's a possibility of them using this show as a really good way to do a couple of things that I think Disney does better than almost anybody else, which is use content to bridge older communities with younger communities and make and put them all on the same page, right? So my youngest daughter and I, Zaina says, is giving AVX, which again, I am banking on them moving towards Avengers versus X-Men, especially after what they did with Echo. The fact that Echo in the comic end up with the what up, Kim, with the Phoenix abilities. I think that's the next thing you do, right? If you're really trying, like, once you get through a battle world, once you kind of use Battle World and Doctor Doom and so forth to pull everybody into the same universe, don't necessarily have a multiverse, quote unquote, anymore. What's the next big bad you do? It's either Galactus or it's Avengers versus X-Men, which really the baddie is the Phoenix,
right?
And I think that's the direction you go in.
You know what? Like I also never considered that, but if we're playing with the
Welcome to
idea
Loading
that
Snacks.
No, I love it. I love it. No, like if we're playing with the idea that the internet's under the impression that Marvel Studios needs a win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Avengers versus X-Men really would be that win. I mean, we've gotten the Avengers movies, like we got a few more coming up, but
Yeah.
if they can deliver in the next few years, Doctor Doom, because I think that's a big win, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some rumors about Galactus, which I'm starting to think are true at this point in terms of
I am
casting.
too. Yeah.
And they line us up with X-Men. That's beautiful. Now, if I could be a huge comic book geek right now,
By all means,
do it.
Welcome home.
There you go. There you go. If it was me, I don't know if you guys remember this. One of my favorite X-Men runs is actually New X-Men by Grant Morrison, right?
Okay.
And at the very end of that run, it turns out that Jean Grey and the Phoenix, their responsibility is to cleave off timelines, to clean up the multiverse. That is an angle in that story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's been woefully underutilized by other writers.
100%.
But
this is a perfect time.
That is an interesting angle. It is a perfect time to pull that out. And especially if you go the direction of Battle World, because I think a lot of people are assuming Secret Wars is going to be the Beyonder original story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I'm also kind of
thinking.
I'm thinking it's going to be the Hickman one. I'm thinking that's
I think so too.
They'll work Beyonder into it, and I mean the Beyonders were kind of part of that story. The Beyonders were kind of started the story, but yeah.
I think you set Doctor Doom in position to be the bad that is the reason why we need to deal with this. You know what I mean? Situation.
Yeah.
And I think, look, you could build it out any number of ways. I just would like to see them get. Here's the thing: Avengers versus X-Men would actually be the Civil War we never got.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's true.
We had a movie that had it, but like if we actually begin to take almost like the Fox universe versus the MCU unit, like the original Disney MCU universe, it could be ridiculous.
Could be a problem.
And again, I think they're just in a position where they can breathe a lot of new blood into what the MCU is, because they have all these characters that they can introduce that aren't X-Men, but are mutants. And that's really what I'm looking for them to do. Now, one, do me a favor, Sin, and put that last comment back up.
Yes, sir.
So Cuddy's saying, do we get Patrick Stewart? Yes, absolutely. I loved Ryan crashing the X-Men Zoom during COVID. Absolutely. Do we get Patrick Stewart? Yeah, I don't think there's any way we don't get some version,
in some form. Yeah, even if it's just like a one-time cameo where at least we see that there's a Professor X that exists somewhere else. Listen, I just don't want to see. I don't want to see Professor X die again. Like, can we just leave that out?
Nah, he can die. It's fine.
I don't man, you know what would be wild?
What's that?
You know what would be. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you guys off. Sorry.
Oh,
you got the wheels turning now. You know what would be wild? You know what would be wild? All right, Xavier's dead, right? Magneto has been the headmaster of the X-Men for several years now. They're a little bit more militant than when we last saw them.
Yeah.
And then they walk through that portal into the MCU.
Yeah. Yeah.
They gonna
see all the live action versions.
They gonna start
if anything, that's the initial misunderstanding, right? You know what I mean? Like, which is always the case with these crossovers, right? So
I mean, that's kind of what you have to do.
And you got Falcon as Captain America, so you'd be like, whoa, your struggle. It's cool. We're good.
Yeah.
I mean, and look, they gonna walk over and be like, "Wait, you are not Captain America in our world." Like,
right? Things are changing on our side over here. We're good.
What's happening here?
Right.
I mean, again,
I do.
At some point, Battle World has to clean a lot of different versions of different characters up, right?
Yeah.
But there is also the possibility, right, that they treat Battle World very differently from what we've seen in the comics, where they don't necessarily make it so that those other universes don't exist anymore and they all come into one universe, but they could say that Battle World forces them to find a way, with Loki sitting at at the helm, right, and controlling the new version of Idrisil and pulling all the strings of time and say, we found a way to allow these universes to coexist, right? And that's what they're fighting for at the end of it, so that they can keep doing X-Men 97 and keep doing new seasons, and they can have other versions of characters that exist, and Hugh Jackman doesn't have to be the only Wolverine.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to replace somebody as a replacement, but there can be multiple versions of him. Cal Dodd doing the voice of Wolverine really was my Wolverine for a long time, in the same way Kevin Conroy is a lot of people's Batman. You know what I mean? So like that, the ability of them to kind of rewrite what Battle World is, what Secret Wars really means to the overall next thing they do, I think if they're smart, they don't get rid of all those other things and say they don't exist at all anymore. Maybe they say the Fox universe doesn't exist anymore and the X-Men now exist here, and that's all they're really getting rid of. And the rest of what exists from a multiverse standpoint is still there, because that gives them the creativity, the license, the freedom to continue to do What If. And you know what I mean? As an animated show, if they want to do that, or pick one of those stories and take that and make a separate show from that, or even do comics from that. And the fact that Kevin Feige is now kind of helming the comic side as well as what is happening on the video audio side of things, I think it's going to have a much straighter alignment. And so that just kind of makes more sense to me. So I'm excited about what it is, and X-Men 97 is kind of, for me, what the start of what that's going to be, because it's going to drop before Deadpool does. Right. So to me, it's like, all right, we get X-Men 97. We're going to have all the episodes before we even see what Deadpool is. And so where that series ends up and what's going on with those characters when the season ends could very well be tied into Deadpool in some way. We just don't know it yet. So that's very exciting.
I mean, I'd be fine with just like a What If episode of the MCU and X-Men and the animated X-Men characters. I'm one of those people. I want a complete recast for the X-Men. I actually don't like the Foxmen. Like I've grown to dislike them. And I'll be honest, when the first movie came out, I was like, oh, this is great. But now, look, we didn't have Iron Man, we didn't have Civil War, we had Infinity War. It doesn't feel the same. It's not the same. It's not even the same game that they're playing. And
100%.
You know, you kind of recognize how miscast a lot of those actors are. Like I think Patrick Stewart's great. I think Ian McKellen's great, but I'm ready to move on. I want a fresh start.
I am too. But again, I think that they allow themselves the freedom to kind of do with it being a little less confusing than what DC is doing, where they're like, oh nah, there's multiple Batman. They just exist in different universes, so it's okay. Like we have a Batman that's the Batman, and we have, you know what I mean? Like they'll be able to say, well, yeah, Patrick Stewart is a Professor X, but then there's also a Professor X from this universe, and there's a, you know what I mean? And like we can have multiple versions of the same character played by different people if they want to. It's dangerous, but it's doable. Here's what I want to do. We're going to play a little game. So I saw this making the rounds on the artist formerly known as Twitter the other day on X. Sin.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask everybody, so just start getting yourself ready. But since the one who's on the spot right now, and I'm only putting him on the spot because he kind of got a heads up about this.
Right.
Who are your top 4 X-Men?
Top 4 X-Men. Okay. White Queen, Gambit, Rogue. And I'm fighting with my last one between Blink and Cable, but it's probably gonna be Blink.
Okay. All right. Listen. Who's my favorite X-Man?
Iceman.
Iceman. You already know he's on the squad. Who's my second favorite X-Man?
Nightcrawler. No, Colossus.
You knew that. Iceman and Colossus. No two ways about it. My third is Nightcrawler. Cause Nightcrawler. I don't really have to like, you know what I'm saying? And then Shadowcat. I thought for a long time about this.
I was thinking about Shadowcat.
I looked at like I'm like, yo, there's some really serious super duper Omega level like Shadowcat. I want, you know how I like to make my teams where I'm like, I need people who can infiltrate and I need people who can set it off. And they don't have to be the same. You know what I'm saying? Iceman can set it off. Colossus can set it off. Nightcrawler and Shadowcat infiltrate. Go get my information. Somehow, y'all don't, you know what I mean? It pops off, call in the heavy hitters. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at. That's my squad. Jokes?
All right.
Feel free by all means to sound off in the chat too. Like I know y'all are thinking about it, so you might as well just start telling me who they are. Jokes.
I'll take Beast.
That's different. I like that.
Give me Beast. Bishop.
Okay.
Trying to think. Do we include? Are we only going to do like X-Men like as in heroes or just characters?
Hold on, I need to defend myself. Hold on a second. My list has too much testosterone, sis. That's how I got Shadowcat, who like for a long time dated Colossus, and like I don't want to be that guy, but like Iceman he's not about that testosterone. Like
not even a little bit. Nah.
Like I don't want to say like he has testosterone, but like so let me just make sure. Everybody doesn't know that Iceman is gay. She did definitely. Yeah, Zay, she really hit me with that, bro.
With the bro.
It was kind of.
It's a little bit disrespectful when a woman does. It's like, bro.
It's my sister. She's actually calling me bro, but like,
she has every reason to, right?
Right. Yeah, she has every right actually, but like, and
you feel the check.
But nah, I'm like, by all means, Candace, put your team together, and give us your 4. I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? Cuddy. So let's see. Bishop for me because I think he was the first black X-Men I saw as a kid. Male, of course. Okay. First male black X-Men. I am maybe. Logan, Nightcrawler, Iceman, Magneto. That's a lot of testosterone. However,
try this one.
Because Magneto and Logan, bro, like that's a lot of testosterone.
Listen, he's going to be tossing Logan all over the place. Hey, put your claws out. Sweet. He's going to be using them as a spear.
Dazzler.
You're right.
Gambit, Nightcrawler. Dazzler is the standout for me there. Because I think Dazzler's way underappreciated. So, Heather, you get extra points for Dazzler. I really feel like they're really talking about Dazzler being a thing in this next movie. And I think that's going to be dope.
I'm into that.
Don't laugh me out. Jokes, I'm sorry. Did you get through your 4? I'm sorry. Like,
I think so Beast, Bishop. You know what? I'm gonna balance it out for you. Mystique. Like I think that's a good little covert type of thing.
Testosterone.
I think that could be a little for certain missions that we can do. And then from there, I kind of want the last spot. I would either say Mr. Sinister. Just
but he's not.
I asked that question, but it wasn't answered because we went off. But so scratch that.
I would say I wouldn't allow that.
I got you. Cool. Only thing I would.
According to Krakoa, he's an X-Men.
That's what I thought. Right.
You're right. Well, I mean, if you really feel that strongly about it.
If I didn't do Mr. Sinister, I would probably. The last spot could be one of those that I would just like alternate through. Like if I could have like the Phoenix Force. And like I could just allow that.
You always cheat. All right, listen.
How's that cheating? I'm not sin.
Phoenix Force as my fourth person in the X-Men. Like
the entire Phoenix Force.
Yeah, I know, right? What are you talking about? I would probably just rotate.
All right, Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister. I'm taking Sinister.
Fine, whatever. Like
Mr. Sinister.
Like,
Phoenix Force is my number 4 pick. Come on,
I'm not pulling a sin out here. I'm not being sin.
Nah, don't say you're not being. My man was just like, hey, you know what? Can I get Excalibur as my 4th character? Like the group, not the sword. Like, can I mind if I just have X-Force as my last joint? You know, like what? What are you talking about? Like that's the whole Phoenix Force.
Mr. All of them. We're done.
Troy.
Yeah. You guys really made me think about this. You guys really made me think about this.
That's cool.
Because
so Zayna says Psylocke, X-23, Nightcrawler, and Majik.
Thought about Psylocke. Yeah, Psylocke almost made the list. I'm a big fan of Remender's Uncanny X-Force, so that would have been. I almost ended up picking just the Uncanny X-Force.
Hey, look, Psylocke off the blue and gold, old school, like the Jim Lee days.
Yeah,
Psylocke, like she almost made mine from that.
There you go. Only thing about Psylocke is I don't know where she is currently. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, just in terms of a character, I just don't know what they're doing with her anymore. Like, you know, I'm just confused. All right. I'm going to go with Storm.
Okay.
Because Storm is just one of my favorite characters, period. Right?
That's fair. And technically, it's not who would be the most powerful team or the best team. It's really just your favorite. Like,
it's just who you like, right? Yeah.
It's just your top 4. So, yeah, go for it.
So yeah, I'm going for the Weather Witch 100%, and this might be completely out of pocket, but I'm also going to go with Magneto.
Okay.
And that's because Magneto has always been a compelling character to me. Now, with that, let's get crazy. I'm going to throw Warlock in there. I'm going to throw in Warlock. Magneto and Warlock working together, that's kind of crazy.
Deadly. That's deadly.
That's deadly. And I'm gonna steal yours. Jokes because I originally had Emma on there because I think Emma's hilarious. But I'm gonna throw in Mystique because Mystique is also a really fascinating character. So that would probably be my team.
I dig it. I like the squads.
Okay.
I like the squads. Look, we could probably put better teams and write some better stories than some of the ones that we've seen because we probably got ideas that have been bouncing around in our heads about what we would do with these characters forever, right? And look, I think it's super interesting what is happening right now with where Marvel is, their ownership of Fox, having control of mutants again. I don't even really want to say X-Men. I've said many times on this show, I don't even really want to see the original X-Men come back. I would like to see all new mutants, just characters we've never, like, you know, there's a lot of cameos baked into the X-Men movies. If you just look at like people that might run through the background in Xavier's house somewhere.
Right.
But like, we never really, you know, like we got Banshee. That's solid. I like Banshee, but like, I really want Cannonball. You know what I mean? Like, I really want, like, I really want Pharaoh. I'm down to see Strong Guy. Like, I'm like, there are just
Guido.
Like, I'm just so down to see like other mutants get an opportunity to showcase their abilities, their powers, their you know, really get that spotlight. Like, there's a part of me that hopes that as they really think about what they're gonna do with the characters that are now available to the MCU, that they just go back to like, I don't know, like 93 and look through like the Marvel Masterpiece cards and look at like the power sets that are on the back of the joint and just go, yo, so-and-so got dope powers.
Bring them in.
Yeah, like let's do something with them. I really just want to see them find a way to do the Iron Man thing with other characters. Like Iron Man was a straight up C to D tier character at the time they made him the most popular superhero. You know what I mean? On the
you know what I find really encouraging.
What's that?
Is I'm seeing a lot of Cyclops love lately.
Yeah, I don't like Cyclops, but I get it.
I get it. Well, here's the thing. I don't think I ever got it until like Astonishing X-Men, maybe or New X-Men. Actually, New X-Men. But I'm encouraged by that because I'm like, I personally wouldn't mind seeing establishing the original team, like, you know, Cyclops, Iceman, Angel, Beast, Professor X, establishing the original team in the first movie, but to make way for the giant size team. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like having that shift happen in the comic itself. Maybe they get kidnapped by Krakoa. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Whatever.
But like establishing these were the original students, and now we're shifting over to these new students and making Storm the leader. Like, you know, I think that's really encouraging. But seeing people pining, you know, like giving Cyclops his respect makes me kind of think that like maybe this is on the like this is on someone's radar. Like, you know what I mean? That they want to see a proper Cyclops because we never got that from the movies.
100%. Like, here's the thing: Cyclops is a character that has a lot of turmoil. And they explore his turmoil and torment, but it's almost always just about Jean.
It's always about Jean, right?
It's always just about Jean. It doesn't ever really surface as like the father-son thing between him and Xavier, the struggle to try to actually lead a team that doesn't necessarily respect him, so to speak, as a leader. Like, they don't really touch a lot of that kind of stuff. And the arc that Cyclops has had in the comics, especially over like the last decade, where like him and freaking Magneto just being like, we about to show up and snatch everybody who got power.
Right.
I'm running with Magnus. Like, he really was like, I will body anybody that gets in our way. And that version of Cyclops, there's a very John Wick version of Cyclops that has existed in the last 10 years. Then I'm like, you know, if this Cyclops had been the Cyclops when I started X-Men in like the late 80s, I might have liked him a lot more. Like a lot more. Like a lot more.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't necessarily agree with like Magneto, right? And that's mostly because Magneto was the bad guy. But that doesn't mean that Magneto didn't have some very poignant points. Like, he was saying some things that just like, you know, Magneto kind of saying something here.
Well, what's the saying? Magneto was right.
They say it.
All right.
They say it. And even in the last episode from the original cartoon, like, I just went back and rewatched that with my youngest daughter like last week because I had to get back in that frame of mind. It's a terrible episode, by the way. But also they had aged Jubilee up, which I kind of liked, and I was a little disappointed to see her kind of age back down in the new trailer.
Oh, the new show.
Yeah, like if you go back and you watch like the last season, they did actually kind of age her up a little bit and make her a little bit older and kind of have her come in. She wasn't quite the same. She seemed more 17 going to 18 than she did like 14 ninth grader at the beginning in like the very first episode of the show. And I kind of like that. Her path has been ridiculous. I would love to see Jubilee. She's been everything from a vampire to like, I would love
I
to
saw
see
that
her.
earlier today. I was like,
wait, what?
Yes.
I know that one. I'm not even.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she been a vampire. Like Wolverine it's a whole thing. Like Wolverine had to start letting her like suck his blood so that it was a whole thing, bro. Like,
right, yeah, it was, yeah.
Jubilee.
She had a baby.
Oh yeah, she was
doing the Lone Wolf and Cub thing for a while.
Yeah, has like grown so much so that it's like, you know, back in the day it was like, oh, she makes fireworks. Nah, that's not really what she's doing. Like Jubilee. She didn't quite get the like Invisible Girl to the Invisible Woman glow up, because Invisible Woman is like Slim. If she had an X costume, she's going on that team. Like, she would be on my team. Shorty's a beast. Jubilee had a pretty serious glow up. And I would love to see them explore that in some manner. Like they gave Echo a show. You could give Jubilee a show, bro. Like, you could really
facts.
You could really give Jubilee a show. All right, listen. It's been a great show. I've had a great time hanging out with y'all. Troy, I want to take a moment to just thank you for joining us, for hanging out, for sharing what you have.
Absolutely.
You know, coming in the future down the pipeline. Jokes, if you would do me a favor and just make sure to share those links back out to the chat before you drop our Beacons link. I greatly appreciate that. Everybody who's here, please make sure you go and follow Troy so we can stay up what he's got going on. That'd be awesome.
If you love this show, you'll like my feed. You'll enjoy my feed, I think.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. You know what I mean? 100%. So Jokes, thank you for doing that. Sin, you have a job to do.
And let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
That is a fact. We greatly appreciate all of you. Look, again, Patreon is one of the best ways to support us. We are a small media company that is run by 4 people, and we're staying super busy. So we just came off of KatsuCon. We'll give y'all a feeling of what KatsuCon was like for us next week. Again, the panel was incredible. Sin learned a lot about K-pop. I don't think he was planning to learn. That was dope.
Yeah. That was an experience.
Had a good time. We have ChromaCon not this weekend, but next weekend.
Following week.
Yep. And then the week after that, we're at AwesomeCon. So, we'll be at ChromaCon. We're working press. We'll be all over the place, talking to people and shooting interviews and all that good stuff. So if you're going to be there, by all means, if you see us, say hi. If not, just look for our content when that drops. We got a couple of things that are coming up.
The K-pop
definitely. Hit you with that.
Yeah.
There is some content from KatsuCon that is coming right now. Like, there's this one reel that Jokes posted that just people won't shut up about. It's going a little crazy in the feed.
Just a little bit.
So yeah. So we are doing press, and we have a panel. Again, being comfortable being a geek.
Thanks, man.
We definitely know. Andrew, have a good night, man. Again, we know that Jerry will be with us on the panel. We actually try to get Jerry and his wife on the panel with us. So you guys have seen Penny on the show with us as well. They are making the trip over from the West Coast. She's done a lot of really dope work. DC stuff, Marvel stuff, little golden books and things of that nature. So it would be really great to have both of them, but somebody has to stay and watch their table while one of them is in the panel. So Jerry's going to join us on the panel. We're working on getting Shady Hayes on the panel, but Shady is also a guest there and has some things that she may have to do. So I'm not totally positive she'll be able to join us for that, but she'll be in.
Of course, we're wrestling fans. Of course, you do have to repeat that.
Don't do that, Sin. So we have that. But again, we're nonstop. So we follow that. We have Maryland Day is right after that. Probably jump in there really quickly. I don't know if all of us will be there, but I'm gonna try to jump into that. We have Nerd Apocalypse coming up. Yes. The bar crawl. So if you are over 21 and you want to come hang with us all day in Baltimore City, then by all means come and do that with us by the harbor. Then of course we have BlurCon, we have Otakon. We're on a roll. So it's gonna keep coming. I appreciate all the support and the love you guys have given us. Jokes. Can you tell the people what I need them to hear?
You got it. Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
That is a fact. With that, we're out. Toodles and lose.
Loading snacks.
See if this shit kicks
Go
me.
live. It's trying. It might kick you, Sin.
Let's see if Sin gets kicked.